welcome to Bear Mountain. This week we're in the greenhouse. It's middle of February. Well, maybe sort of approaching the middle of February. We are at a point now where a lot of the stuff that we planted in our first wave of planting were small seedlings that we did in slot trays that we've got to bump these guys up. Plus, we've got really good germination on a lot of the other things, and the veg and the onions we did really well. The peas were kind of a mixed story. Don't know why. Kind of show you that one in a second. And we've got a lot of yarrow and kale that we're going to bump up today. The pansies are just starting to come up, as well as the foxglove. So those guys are looking pretty good. The foxglove isn't going to need any bumping up, but the pansies definitely will. But they're probably going to be about 2 weeks off. So let's get started. I'll show you what they kind of look like and then what the status of things is. And that's kind of our job today. So let's do it. What you're looking at right here is the kale. This was kale seed we saved. So it's I'm really kind of been impressed with it. It came up. It's Red Russian was the main variety of it, but it's probably crossed over with the other variety. I think it was called Dark Boar or something like that. But these are going to be both red kales, and they're going to be great for this spring. And then next to them, this is a group of, let me turn this thing around here so we can read the labels. This group right here is called Frizzle Sizzle Mini Tapestry. And these guys are just starting to come up. They're not quite ready for bumping up yet. And then I've got a mix of viola that are kind of being spotty in terms of coming up. So it was older seed, so I'm not sure ultimately how that's going to work out. And then we have Natural Shade. That one's coming up. It's looking pretty good. And then over here in the 3 rows that have no vermiculite on them, those were, they are yarrow, and it's a red shades yarrow. So it's kind of going to have a nice red color with a little bit of gold fleck into it. It's a beautiful looking yarrow. And these were just seeded, we just dropped the seed right on top, kept it moist with a humidity dome over the top of it, and they germinated really fast. The heat map was set at 70 degrees, so all these guys did really pretty well in terms of germination, with the exception of that one mix in the violas. But what we're going to transplant up today is we're going to prick these guys out and bump them up, and the same thing with the kale too. So this is going to be probably going to take 2 trays. That's about all we're going to want to do of it. We're going to put it into 6 packs. Now, a 10-20 tray, which is your typical size 10-inch by 20-inch tray, holds approximately 72, well, holds exactly 72 cells in 6 packs. So we're going to do 2 of those guys and then 1 tray of the kale. And whatever extra that I have in space, if I don't have enough to do a full tray for the kale over here, which I may not, and that's okay because, you know, there's only so much kale that 2 people can eat. We'll pack out the rest of it with yarrow. So these are the 2 things I'm going to do today. I'm going to use this old meat tray here as just kind of something to set the stuff on as we prick these guys out. And then the 6 packs, we've already got them, we've got potting mix in them, and with compost, and they're ready to go. They're wetted down. We just kind of make the dibble in them for putting in the plant, and we should be good to go. The thing I'm going to use to prick these guys out is just an old, this is an old butter knife. You know, everybody's got one of those probably somewhere around somewhere. And I'm going to use these in the slotted tray to just kind of get underneath and then gently lift them out. And then as I lift them out, I'm going to be breaking them apart and then putting them kind of temporarily on this yellow old meat tray here, while I then get my 6 packs to plant them in. So this will, it's a little bit of a laborious process, and surely if you had a lot of things, like you were trying to do a massive volume, you would have never done it this way, because it's just massively time consuming. So I probably would have, if I was trying to get volume, like for cut flowers, you know, grazing, you know, a huge bed of these guys, I would have used something like soil blocks and using the mini block and just, you know, being much faster with that. But I decided this time around, since I'm only trying to get to, you know, a limited number of plants, that I'm not gonna worry about that and just use this old method. We got really good germination out of it. Didn't waste a lot of space or a lot of seed mix or anything like that. So should be pretty good. The thing about the butter knife is it can slip right into the tray. You can see it's the same width as the slot. So that's why I kind of chose that. So it makes an excellent spatula and it's really easy to lift things out. So I got these guys that are ready to go. So the next step is I'm just going to make certain that I get my tray dibbled and then I can gently break these guys apart and get them into each individual cell. Okay, so so you can kind of see that each of the holes are, probably about a halfway down into the cell. And that's all I'm looking for because I'm going to set those things in and then I'm just going to use my fingers and just kind of gently push it back up. They're going to look pretty whipped around here when we get finished. And I may even put a humidity dome over it for a little bit, like a day or so, just so they can get, back up and running before they, have a chance to dry out. Now, one of the things that's important when you're doing this prica, and this is just my experiences, you want to get these guys. I know it seems like they're really, really young, and but you want to get these guys before they have a chance to have roots that kind of wrap around each other and cause a whole lot of damage. So right now they're at that little string stage where they're just basically one long root and the first set of cotyledon leaves, and that's probably the best time to do it. And that would be basically for anything that you're trying to raise that you're going to be pricking out and bumping up like that at this stage, where you took those very small seeds and you just put them in into the slotted tray, and that's basically, you could do this with snapdragons. You could do it basically with anything. It's a small seeded type thing. So you can kind of see that what I got is I got a couple of seedlings right here. So I'm just going to kind of gently break these guys apart and then stick them in the hole. So if you look closely, hopefully if it's in focus, you can see that the small root on the yarrow plant, and that's it. You can see what I'm saying by like they're at a thread stage. So there you go. They're transplanted in. I'm probably going to put just a little bit of really fine vermiculite over the top to kind of help with moisture retention. And I guess, as I got into these things and I started putting one in each cell, I began to realize that I'm probably not going to have a full 2 trays of these guys, but I'm probably going to have like a tray and a half because I've only got like one slot left and a few extras left that somewhere in there they are. There they are. A couple extra ones left that so we're still going to do pretty good, though. I mean, by the time you get finished with it, we're going to be looking at somewhere probably close to 100 plants, and I guess that's pretty good. And like I said, each one of these are going to be a perennial, so we'll probably have more than enough for what we want to do around the farm. Where we are with the onions, these guys were planted on the 24th of January. They're came up pretty well. I've still got a few of them that are still germinating, but overall they look pretty healthy. We're going to take these guys off the heat mat here pretty quick. I've just been leaving them on a couple extra days to see if I can get some more germination. It seemed like the slowest one, interestingly enough, was the pelleted seed, which was Patterson. It had a little more difficulty in germinating in terms of speed, but the others, the best germination, I think all of them were the red, and this variety is called Milano, Rosa Milano. So that one did really well as the Bridger or Frontier. Excuse me, we didn't do Bridger this year. We did Frontier, which is a yellow onion, and then we have a tray of mixed shallots that did pretty well too. So those guys look good. The other one that I thought was weird is this one down here. It's a little dark here. Let me get it adjusted. You can see this one tray here of peas. These are bistro shelling peas. And this tray had pretty good germination. I'd say it's close to about 70%. There's still a few of them still germinating. And then this tray right next to them, same variety, same potting mix, same heating mat, same everything. I hardly got anything out of this one. Uh, I'm just a little bit perplexed on that. But so we're going to have to do a couple more extra trays of peas than I thought, just because it looks like the germination is going to be kind of inconsistent. The last covered tray we have over here are the foxgloves, and they are starting to germinate. I got to get a little moisture in here. You can kind of see little foxgloves starting. See the little green guys right there, and they're going to be probably pretty much finished germinating here, I think maybe by the end of the week. So we'll see how that goes, and we'll remove the humidity dome just to kind of keep things. We're trying to keep a higher level of humidity on these guys because that too was also pelleted seed. So we want to make sure that they do well. So that's it. Not a super exciting time right now. I mean, things are still pretty slow. We're going to be doing more seeding. I think probably tomorrow. Like I said, I gotta replant, reseed those shelling peas, and I got to start my snow peas. Plus, it's actually time to start petunias for our boxes and pots and stuff for the summertime, because they take a really long time to grow. And I think of what I'm going to do with the petunias is I'm going to use soil blocks on those guys because they're really small when they germinate. I mean, they're like, you really almost got to use a magnifying glass to see them. And I mean, not as bad as Lysianthus, but they're pretty small. So I want to make certain that that I guess I use the most efficient method possible with that. And we're going to be doing a lot of those guys. I'm going to want probably 300 or so petunia plants, and they've got to be good size, ready to put in the pots by probably late April. And so they take a long time to grow, and that's kind of what I'm going to be starting this next on the flower side. On the veg side, it's time to start the greens. I'm going to be starting the spinach and lettuce for our first round coming up. And also going to be starting some cole crops like, besides the kale we already got going, start cabbages and broccoli and that sort of stuff to get those things going. And next week, we're going to be cleaning out the tunnels, so that'll also be a chore. It's always fun to do that. Things that are finished for the winter and get it out there and get the soil rejuvenated and ready to go. So want to thank you for stopping by today. Again, we're still kind of in the slow time of the year, so, not a lot of super fancy stuff going on. But luckily, for us, at least compared to other parts of the country, our weather's been pretty mild. The only snow we saw yesterday was a flurry for about 5 minutes, so let's just hope the rest of the winter stays that way. And our temperatures haven't been really unseasonably cold, so we've been blessed with that. So we may end up having an early spring. We'll see what happens. Anyway, thanks for joining us this week, and we'll catch you on the next video. Bye-bye.